For more, let's go out to Falcons reporter for The Athletic, Josh Kendall, joining us on the WadeFord.com hotline. Josh, what's going on, brother? Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I apologize for being late.
What were you doing? Were you having your 3-martini lunch? What was going on?
I wish it was that. I wish it was that exciting.
I was going to say, is that Lombardi time? He's on Jeff Schultz time. But anyway, he joins us here on the WadeFord.com hotline. What do you think? I mean, I know we were joking around earlier in the show. I did the numbers, which is crazy, Josh, how few Georgia Bulldogs ever been drafted by the Falcons. I mean, not out of necessity or marketing, but this just seems like a year where maybe Georgia Bulldog would wind up as a Falcon with a pretty high pick.
Well, just out of the math, you could certainly see it happening. You know, I think that they're not going to be able to avoid Georgia players the way Georgia is recruiting these days. But you know, I'm not sure they're going to take one at number 8. I think there was a day when, you know, Falcons fans and me, I would have said, boy, the Falcons are going to be lucky if Jalen Carter slips to 8. And you know, it's beginning to look like Jalen Carter was going to slip to 8 and go right on past 8. So I don't know what's going on in Athens today. But, yeah, I mean, I don't think the Falcons have anything against Georgia guys, but we will hear that cry again if and when they pass on Jalen Carter at 8 in April.
Well, it looks like it was a good bet to wait on Caleb and Gary, not offering the franchise tag. You get a little bit cheaper. And this was all about continuity, too, plus the fact he had such a good year last year. But there are concerns about the pass protection.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that those concerns about the pass protection are a big reason that they were willing to let him, you know, sniff around, test the waters. Caleb fits, you know, better in Atlanta than in almost every other place in the NFL. The Falcons knew that. This reuniting made more sense the whole time. So I think this was always going to happen. I thought that they'd have to pay even a little more than they did. They got a really good deal. They have the cohesion. They got a guy who run blocks the way that they want. The pass blocking's got to get better. But, you know, Mike McGlinchey, who just signed a huge deal in Denver, you know, he's got basically the same skill set. Right. Great run blocker, struggles in pass blocking, just got a huge payday. So this is not unusual for right tackles in the league.
It is Josh Kendall with us, and you're right. When you look at there was a scouting breakdown of both guys. They almost read identically. It's a good call. Where do you think we address left guard? Is that going to be to come in there? Because now there's some guys you could plug in on some really easy, manageable contracts, or you think we could address that in the draft?
I think I would guess Elijah Wilkinson comes back. It just depends on how they think the draft is going to fall. Do they think Skoronski is going to be there at 8? Do they like Skoronski as much as a lot of people? 8 is a top 10 pick for a guard. You got to love him. Skoronski's a little different because he can move. He could play guard right now and then move out to tackle at some point. Again, but some people don't love him at tackle because he's got short arms by comparison to NFL tackles. So I think a lot of that depends on Skoronski. Elijah Wilkinson was fine when he was healthy there. Mm-hmm. I don't think he's going to get a blockbuster offer, at 4:00 when he officially hits the free agent market. And I could see him coming back if they decide, well, we're not going to sign an edge rusher, so we're thinking somebody like Tyree Wilson at number 8.
Who was your most attractive option at number 8 for the Falcons? Put on your GM hat. Who was the one you were coveting?
Well, I've circled back around to Tyree Wilson now because they didn't address edge rusher with a marquee guy in free agency, which I expected that they would probably do. So now that they haven't, it makes me think that they're going to fall back on getting that guy high in the draft. Christian Gonzalez, the cornerback out of Oregon, and the cornerback out of Illinois, Devin Witherspoon. I like Gonzalez. A lot of people like Witherspoon. So I could have seen that being a fit if they had addressed edge rusher. Certainly, we'll know more when we see what they do about left guard, whether we should think offensive line there. But at this point, given the fact that no, big money edge rushers have come in the door, I think you're looking at somebody like Tyree Wilson, somebody who can get after the passer.
Yeah, we talk about the scouting reports, guys, as Josh Kendall from The Athletic, who covers the Falcons, joins us here, is trying to figure out what he does great about Tyree. It's almost like they like the athleticism, yeah. But it just, and again, not knowing the inner workings of the Texas Tech, you don't really think defense when you think the Big 12, but what makes him such a buzz right now? Why is he considered to be that so high?
Big, long arms. They feel like they can coach him up and he can get around blocks because he's just such a physical specimen. especially with that wingspan, good speed around the edge. Just a guy that you feel like is big enough that you can put him on the end of the defensive line if you choose to do that, and also athletic enough that if you want to line him up at more of a stand-up outside linebacker role, you can do that.
All right, I'm going to ask you this. What do you do second, third, fourth, and fifth round if you're the Falcons? How do you intersperse wide receiver, maybe another lineman, more defense, maybe a cornerback? What do you think?
I'd go wide receiver high-ish, like second or third round.
Really?
This is a deep cornerback draft, and Casey Hayward is not getting any younger. So if you don't go cornerback at 8, I would go cornerback, third roundish. You still need more defensive tackles. I'd load up on any defensive tackles that you liked. And, there are going to be some really interesting running backs available late. Would surprise me at all if, even though Tyler Algier had such a great season, that they draft another running back late in this draft.
Right. You can never have too many. Every team you've seen that. Cowboys ran out of running backs last year.
Zeke's 28. He looks like he's done.
And they fall off a table like the production, like we talked about where Derrick Henry's trending. For what it's worth, Josh, KSTP, the Twin Cities News Leader, is reporting that the Falcons are one of the teams that might be interested in Dalvin Cook. I would imagine that would have to be very inexpensive considering his ability. Again, 1,000-yard rusher, but he tends to not stay healthy.
Yeah, boy, given that teams are so reticent to give up a lot of value for running backs, given that the Falcons, got Algier, a 1,000-yard rusher in the 5th round, they clearly feel good about their ability to find guys and to get production out of them in this system. I would be surprised by that. Anything can happen. I was surprised by the Caden Ellis signing. I didn't see that one coming. So, I'm not in their head. But I'd be surprised if they make a deal and give up anything of any real value for Dalvin Cook. If they get him cheap and you get him on one of these deals where you load up the money in 1 year and you see how it goes, maybe. But I don't know.
And again, I hope they don't do that either because I just don't see the sense in it. I mean, if it's a big name, guys, if people think it's a Madden game, they get excited about that.